Hello and welcome to SkySwitch Onboarding. My name is Michael McIntosh and I am one of the onboarding specialists here at SkySwitch. In today's session, we're going to add a domain, a SIP trunk, and a DID to your account. We're going to then associate this with an external PBX, and in this case it will be 3CX. So without further ado, let's begin. As you can see, we're on the dashboard here. We simply click on SIP trunks. Another page opens and we're presented with even more icons. I will click on domains. And we wish to add a domain. In the name field, this obviously, as it says, cannot be changed. So you want to be particular in the information you put in here. But for our testing purposes, I'm just going to create something called nightclub. My description is going to be Tampa nightclub. That's where we are. And the email sender. My practice normally is a no reply at and then company domain .com or .net, whatever it may be. Residential, we're going to leave as no, and status is going to be active. Move on to next. Here we have a few more choices. We're going to change our dial permission to US and Canada. If you wish to go international or any other places out with US and Canada, please raise a ticket with our support staff. They will more than happy to get that working for you. Because I said I was in Tampa, we're going to leave the time zone in Eastern. We're going to leave voicemail transcription disabled, and the area code for Tampa is 813. Now the caller name, which is going to be presented to others. So I'm going to call myself Tampa Nightclub. The caller ID and 911 caller ID, I'm going to put bracket, star bracket, again, bracket, star bracket. This allows the DID from the PBX to be sent through, and it totally ignores anything on here. And we want to disable the voicemail and click on next. And here we have limitations. These will not be used and can be ignored. And add. And that's us created a domain. Here we are on the domain page. So let's move over to SIP trunks. And we're going to simply add a SIP trunk. Here we have fields we need to populate. And the first one we do here is the domain. If you remember rightly, I created one called nightclub. So by typing in the first couple of letters, I can see that nightclub is now presented to me. Now the information I need for the name, the SIP trunk ID, this will be used in the dial translation as well. So we're going to use the same information. So I'm going to copy and paste. Enter a description. I'm going to keep it with Tampa Nightclub, but I'm going to also mention that this is my SIP trunk. Relay media, that's for your RTP for the voice, will just remain yes. The trunk type, we do have choices. I'll hover over this for you to see, but we're going to use bidirectional. We're not going to record the trunk calls, but we are going to change the static IP to require registration. Now we have more fields to fill in here, and especially the SIP user. Because I'm using nightclub, I'm gonna go for bouncer. SIP domain is here, and we've also got a SIP password, which is alphanumerical. Now I need this information with 3CX, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this information and put it to one side. We click on next. As you can see, as I mentioned, dial translation is here, and it's put in the nightclub your reseller ID.service. Our dial permission, I'm going to change to US and Canada. Again, please remember, if you wish to dial internationally, do let the support guys know, put a ticket in for us, and they'll obviously get that changed. Right, our inbound and outbound limit, we're going to be using on 3CX a 4SC, as in 4 simultaneous calls. So I'm just going to take this down to 4 and 4 for inbound and outbound limit. Okay, and simply add. As you can see, our SIP trunk has now been added. Okay, now that we've added our SIP trunk and we have our domain behind that, we now need to get a DID. Here on the right hand side at the top, we have telephone numbers. We'll click on this. Another page opens and we've got a telephone number manager. Now, if we had telephone numbers not in use, we could type in 813 and do a search. Click on Show Services. And there's no number configured with this one, which is brilliant. We can go through the process of creating that number. If we did wish to purchase a phone number, it's a simple case of coming here to the left, purchasing your phone number would be, and the number that you are choosing, we can use MPA or Rate Center. MPA, we're going to stick with this, and it's 813 because it's Tampa. The quantity, I can obviously increase it to 1,000 if I required, but for this demonstration, I'm going to keep it at 10 and just do a search. Okay, we'll choose a number at random. I'll actually pick the last one. And then at the very bottom of the page, it says purchase selected phone numbers. And that's basically it. We've now got our phone number. So we want to now configure it. Simply ticking the box, we can use configure selected phone numbers as our wizard. We wish to choose SIP trunk, and we're going to choose the domain. Now, if you remember rightly, I called it nightclub. Nightclub appears. I wish to choose a SIP trunk, and it's nightclub again. Notes here, very handy. So when you're searching through your search for your telephone numbers, having notes is very, very handy. I've had one where someone was looking for a fax line and they weren't sure where it was or where it was actually associated. It took us a little while, but we got there, and then we updated the notes accordingly. So I'm going to call this temporary DID for nightclub. And click on next. Now I do wish to see who's calling me, so I'll click inbound CNAME and click on next. Okay, So here we have the E911. It's a simple case of populating the fields. And here we're going to call it the Tampa Nightclub. The street name, I'm going to actually use our office. So it's South Hoover Boulevard. It's in the city of Tampa. The street number is 101 and our suite is 102. If you're ever in the area, please come visit. We'd love to see you. Postcode 33609. For further information, once we're completed here, click on the help. Type in E911. And we're going to look at setting up and the management of E911. There is a plethora of information here, and it's very beneficial for you to read this and digest and then use that information. So here we're going to validate, and it looks like it's picked up a mistake that we typed in. But everything was a success and everything is green. If it was red, obviously we would have to figure out what was going on and then configure as need be. So let's, without further ado, let's click on next. Box drops down, let you know to do some testing for the LMP, but that's us created a DID and associated with everything that we need to connect to 3CX. So just a little additional note. Say for example that you wanted to make some changes to the DID that we just created. So let's go back to telephone numbers. We're going to search for the number, so 813. And I've got 3 here in front of me and I'm not quite sure which one was which. So I'm going to click on my show services, and as you can see, the information underneath showed services, SIP trunk, it's red, so it's nothing to do with me as such, because I remember doing the CNAME and the E91. I can check it. And also the show services. So I'll highlight this one. And just to confirm, I will go on to 911 here on the right hand side, the little cross here. And as you can see, it is the information that I'm requiring. Okay. So if we didn't have the wizard, these icons here would actually do the work for us. So here we have the telegraph pole. Clicking on it then presents us the tab with SIP trunk. We want to put the domain in. The SIP trunk with the same domain. The caller ID prefix is just straight through, so there's nothing really you're concerned about there. But I want to change this because we want to lose the other number, and we're going to keep this one for the nightclub. And we're just going to apply routing again. And that's our basically our change is done. Again, you can hover over here, click on it. This is for SMS, so it won't be in this case. The next one along is the tag, was obviously the CNAME. And the one I previously done to start with is our edit our E91. What I am going to do is I'm going to remove it because we're not going to actually use it as such in this case. Again, please look at our help file on E911 as it is very helpful and neat to know. So without further ado, let's go over to 3CX. We have the 3CX PBX here for you to look at. I'm going to click on SIP trunks on the left here, and I'm going to add a SIP trunk. Select the country, US of course, unless you're international. Select a provider by your country, and we're going to scroll down to SkySwitch. Now the main trunk number, if you remember rightly, was 813-710-2190. And let me put that information in. And we're going to say OK. Now we need to populate these fields. So register, server, gateway, hostname or IP. So this is what your domain name is going to be placed. So your nightclub reseller ID.service. This information will be used every time that you do a install through 3CX for the outbound proxy. So again, your reseller ID, HPBBX, outboundproxy.com. Okay. Number of SIM calls, I'm going to just put 4 there. And here we've got the authentication. So type of authentication is already set to register. As you remember, our authentication ID, aka our SIP user ID, was going to be bouncer. And our password. And this is the alpha numerical number here. Here in running of calls, you can obviously change where this main trunk number is actually going to go to. Okay. So you can do that at your leisure. And it's a simple case of just saying OK. Now that we've added our information, we can see that we have a red icon here, which we want to change to green. It's a simple case of going back over to your dashboard, going to SIP trunks, and refreshing the page. As you can see here on the nightclub here, I got an IP address. So let's go back over to our 3CX and do a refresh. And there you have it. We now have registered service with SkySwitch to our 3CX PBX. Thank you for watching.